Imagine someone hurling insults at you, their words sharp and cutting like knives. Your heart races, your mind fills with anger, and every instinct urges you to fight back. But instead, visualize that reaction completely differently. You, stoic, swaying like a lighthouse beneath the storm, a ledge, their words ricocheting off you like stones against your island. Not anger nor hurt, but peace that is untouched. How powerful would that feel? In the words of the great Buddha, to hold on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Today, we're going to explore how to let go of that poison, maintain your calm, and rise above negativity by utilizing profound Buddhist teachings. 1. Understand that insults reflect the insulter. First of all, it is a golden rule to bear in mind that insults reveal the personality of the insulter, not yours. Statements that might vex you come but herald things about their worlds than being relevant to you. The pain, insecurity, or frustration of a person can be projected on others when insulting them. Let's take an example. A person who is struggling with the low confidence might insult others to get the temporary feeling of being powerful. Verifying this fact makes it easier for you to ignore their words and see the person's negativity as a sign of their difficulties, not your lack of value. By perceiving someone's insults in this way, you form an invisible wall that cushions you from absorbing their negativity. There was a saying by Buddha, "What we think, we become." All that we are comes from our thoughts. We make the world with our thoughts. This definitely means that their words show their disturbed thoughts, not the real world that you are living. Therefore, instead of allowing the insults to mess with your self-esteem, think of them to be indicative of the insulter's inner turmoil. This approach helps you deal with stress and maintains your peace no matter the words someone hurls at you. Second, master the art of detachment. Observe, don't absorb. Detachment is seeing things that happen as an observer without getting emotional about them. In Buddhism, this refers to stopping to type and viewing your thoughts and feelings as something external to you. When the other person insults you, look at it as something that is happening outside you. Think of yourself watching the movie, overriding the intuition of taking the insult personally. Hence now you can tell the two apart, the insult and your own reaction, thus being able to stay cool. Buddha's teaching was one of the compelling purposes. The Buddha taught that holding on equals suffering. By doing so, you avoid the instinctual response to react and thus protect your own peace. This will be the platform which is helpful to you to stay cool, concentrated, and the one who is other people's talk will not bother you. Learn and know the fact that you are not a person of what others say. Still, you're an observer of their changing negativity, and you have the power to choose whether to react or not. 3. Silence is strength. Avoid becoming involved in the conflict. One of your best defenses against insults may be silence. By being silent, you may keep control of the situation rather than reacting rashly. Back and forth arguments tend to increase negativity, intensify the disagreement, and sap your vitality. By keeping quiet, you show that you are not easily agitated and that your tranquility is independent of other people's actions. Being silent is a deliberate decision to avoid adding fuel to the fire, not a sign of weakness or passivity. According to the Buddha, one word that brings peace is better than 1,000 empty ones. Your silence can be that word. It disarms the insulter and protects your inner calm, sending a powerful message. You refuse to be dragged into negativity. By choosing not to engage, you rise above the conflict, showing that your self-control is stronger than any insult thrown your way. 4. Reframe the insult. Turn criticism into opportunity. One of the most empowering ways to handle insults is to reframe them, transforming criticism into a chance for growth. Instead of viewing insults as personal attacks, try seeing them as feedback that can provide valuable insights, even if the delivery is harsh or unjust. In Buddhism, every experience, whether positive or negative, is seen as an opportunity to learn and evolve. When confronted with an insult, ask yourself, is there any truth, however small, that I can use to improve myself? This changes your thinking from being a victim to the one who sees all these experiences as stepping stones for self-development. Let's take an example. If someone tells you you're lazy, instead of becoming defensive or angry, ask yourself if there's a realm in your life where you're missing out on motivation or procrastinating. That's not you accepting the insult totally. That's just taking out whatever constructive element you can so that you can use it to better yourself. You strip the insult of power to hurt, and instead take the criticism and turn it into fuel the change. The Buddha says the stream defeats the rock, not through strength, but through perseverance. That's how transformation turns challenges into learning moments. An insult reframed allows you to roll in and around every obstacle like a stream, hour after hour, character becoming reworked in every inch of you. Of course, the insult isn't necessarily backed by valid criticism, but it is still an opportunity to practice patience, self-reflection, and emotional resilience. This is not only going to help you keep calm when necessary, but also strengthen your mindset so you are less likely to be affected by the future negativity. Approaching everything from this point makes you realize that every criticism you receive is really a constructive form of self-development, not an attempt to consider you personally. By turning any insult, it makes it your chance to strengthen your inner strength, fostering resilience and making you less affected by the opinions of others. Fifth, practice self-validation. You define your worth. This is one of the most effective approaches helping to stay calm when people start insulting you. Learn to give yourself validation. Self-acceptance is the act of endorsing oneself without regard for other people's opinions or feelings towards the individual. In Buddhism, the good news is that happiness such as peace cannot be obtained by seeking for it in other people. Depending upon other people for recognition means that those people comprise your well-being and self-worth. Hurtful words can only sting where your self-esteem is invested. As a way of practicing self-validation, you should always repeat to yourself things that make you a special person, your accomplishments, and your assets. This may be by writing affirmations, keeping a journal, or having a positive self-talk about instances that the person has triumphed over different obstacles. The aim is to create your own pedestal of self-esteem on which you stabilize yourself and not be shaken by every rude comment you receive. Once you are certain of yourself, you learn that what anyone says cannot change who you really are. According to the Buddha, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. In other words, this helps affirm that self-love and acceptance are essential to keeping the peace within. If you validate yourself, you don't have to rely on others to validate you, you know. You've grown within, be such that you don't care about the insults at all. They don't have the power to shake your confidence. Self-validation also means practicing setting boundaries about what you will and will not allow into your mental space. You don't need to take to heart every word said against you. You can instead consciously decide which feedback is good feedback and which is just noise. Filtering out negative and baseless criticisms protects your mental well-being by giving you control over what you think about yourself. Self-validation isn't about not listening to the criticisms at all. It's about filtering the truth and focus on the feedback that truly helps you grow me, but doesn't match my inner self. If you define your value and your own belief in it, you have the strength to stay calm and stay resilient against what you hear. This inner strength becomes your shield, strong enough to guide you through the problems of life, confident and peaceful. Sixth, develop emotional resilience. Embrace emotional detours. The term for this ability is emotional resilience, the ability to recover well from setbacks, such as being stung by an insult. Mindfulness and acceptance help us grow emotionally resilient in Buddhism, and that means we can take the ups and downs of our emotional experiences, and instead of drowning ourselves in them, we accept it. Often, it's the insults that set off strong reactions: anger, sadness, a feeling of inadequacy. However, with emotional resilience, you can get through these emotional detours with more calmness and more control. The beginning is to accept that negative emotions are a natural part of the human condition and to learn from emotional pain. Instead of repressing or creating distance with these feelings, allow these feelings to wash in and out, the same way the waves of a beach come and go. This acceptance means you are not going to be a sucker for your emotions. The Buddha teaches that suffering is optional, despite the fact we will all go through pain. It also reinforces how we respond to our emotional experiences. First, you're gonna get stung. The first taste of an insult isn't something you can avoid, but you decide how long you dwell on that sting and how much power you give that insult in your life. Mindfulness meditation is one powerful way to build the emotional resilience. With mindfulness, you can watch your thoughts and feelings without assigning value, leaving the insult and reaction space apart. You can instead take a moment, breathe, and reflect on what you're feeling and why. This is a practice to learn that emotions are not permanent things, but the experience one will have with or without emotions. It can be getting up and taking a moment of deep breathing before responding to a hurtful comment and letting yourself digest the emotion first before going on the attack. This pause is not about avoiding your feelings, but allowing for a pause for you to choose your response, in turning something you would have burst out over into an opportunity for calm reflection and self-control. You actually do yourself a favor. One of the big ways to build resilience is to reframe that negative message and not take it personally. If you are seeing them as personal attacks rather than challenges that test your emotional strength, you are not meeting the intention of these challenges. By each time you decide not to allow a slap on the cheek ruin your stability, you continue to build your capacity. And think of these moments as mental weightlifting. Each insult is an opportunity to build your emotional muscles, to build those arms and get stronger, to be less reactive and stronger over time. It also includes self-compassion as emotional resilience. It is best to be kind to yourself when the insults hurt. If you are hurt, it's okay to feel hurt, but let that not be your definition. Think about treating yourself in the same way that you'd treat a friend during a difficult time. Self-compassion allows you to bounce back faster and not get caught up in building up negative emotions that harm your mental well-being. The Buddha teach about yourself, you yourself, or anybody in the whole universe. You deserve your love and affection, adds that we need to give ourselves kindness when we are struggling. In order to cultivate more resilience, practice behaviors that help to build your mind and body, such as yoga, exercise, and hanging out in nature. The more you do these activities, the more stress is reduced and the better you reconnect to your own inner calm, which will make it easier to deal with emotional disturbances. Have people around you who are supporting you that is positive for you and helps you to see things from a different angle when things get tough. Another way to avoid emotional buildup is to start opening up to trusted friends about how you feel, no matter how you feel. Emotional detours means being open to setbacks being temporary and to every emotional challenge being an opportunity for your own personal growth. Resilient people do not pretend to be without feeling. they find ways of leading through life's struggles with resilience and elegance. Climbing over each emotional hill builds your inner peace in the present, making yourself more able to respond calmly and without rancor in the future. In emotional resilience, it is to learn how to cope with all these emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the blah blah blahs, without getting drowned in them. Practicing mindfulness, reframing negative experiences, and offering yourself compassion help to create an inner tank of strength so that in the face of insults, you don't fall apart. Not only does this protect your peace, it allows you to use even life's most challenging situations with a sense of confidence that nada can unbalance your secure state. 7. Rise above with compassion. If you want to come up from negativity, then you have to pick yourself compassion instead of anger. According to Buddhism, working with compassion is one of the most potent responses to insults and hostility. In case of our going around an insult, use of compassion keeps you internally at peace and cools out the spar of tension that forms when we are insulted. The fact that doesn't mean you're accepting or condoning the insult. It's acknowledging that the insulter is a human being, experiencing their own pain and insecurity. In an effort to respond with empathy rather than hostility, you can interrupt the whirlpool of negative attractions, transforming the experience into a window of recovery, both yours and possibly whoever you're talking to. Helpful when an insulter gives an insult is to pause and reflect on what might be driving the insulter's behavior. Are they feeling their fears? Are they being stressed out? Or do they have personal struggles they are putting into their play? The shift in perspective lets you to detach a bit and see all the circumstantial bullshit in order to not see them as an enemy, but see them trapped in their own emotional turmoil. The Buddha said, "Well, unto us. Hatred vanquishes not hatred, but love. This is the eternal rule." That's the key thing. It's not about anger. It's about compassion, because that is what breaks out of the cycle of negativity. Saying a prayer can be as simple as wishing the person well, even if they're insulting you. Give acknowledgement to that pain and hope for the peace and healing of their lives. It helps you to keep your own peace in your mind and stop negativity from planting in your heart. Compassion shields you from insult and allows pain to pass through instead of hitting you, keeping you centered in kindness and compassion. This also makes you maintain your dignity and affirm that your emotional joints are strong enough to select love over anger. You also need to extend some sort of compassion to yourself. Of course, it's painful when someone makes fun of you, but you ought not let it become angry or insecure. Do unto yourself what you do unto others. Don't forget that there are no words for others that define your worth. Responding with compassion is a demonstration of your strength, not one of weakness. In fact, it takes much more strength to choose kindness over anger. Loving kindness meditation, for example, is one practice to consider to nurture compassion. It promotes you to your best love towards self, loved one, and even to one who has wronged you. As you start off, extend kindness to yourself, then extend to your friends, to strangers, on that final register, to those who may actually cause you pain. This doesn't have to happen immediately. It's actually a process to help release anger and keep your heart open. It seems setting a power example of compassion is exactly what you chose. Responding to insults by understanding isn't just protective of your own peace. It's a model for how to resolve conflict peacefully. This can serve as something of inspiration for the people around you to think about their actions and perhaps reflect on them in the future, and to change their behavior altogether. More than that, compassion puts you above the mundane, allows you to ignore the insults and understand the grand scheme. There is simply too much time in life to carry around negativity. When you choose understanding over anger, you disarm yourself of having to carry the emotional baggage of grudges and having to have a response. This freedom allows you to enjoy life free of others' words or actions, as compassion becomes the path to real inner peace. This doesn't mean to rise above as a way of never being negative, or to respond from a position of strength and with no empathy. That means accepting that everyone, including the people who insult us, is on a journey that we can't see what they're going through. Through taking compassion over anger, you take care of your peace, but also send out a rippled effect of kindness into the world. If you apply this, it turns every interaction into a chance for growth and connection, showing that bar none, the power of compassion is greater war than any insult. A powerful skill is to remain calm and unaffected in the face of insults, and that takes a long time and practice. If you take these Buddhist teachings and incorporate them into your life, you will help protect your own inner peace, be able to rise above negativity, and be able to maintain your composure, whatever people may say. Keep in mind first, you have power in the way you deal.